As we know by now, it is the Senate who will be standing as a judicial body and decide whether the Vice President is guilty or not. 2/3 of its 24 members, or 16 senators, must vote in favor of her impeachment for her to be removed from office. But when will the upper chamber convene as a judicial body? Senate President Francis Cheese Escudero says that legally, an impeachment trial cannot be done while Congress is on break.
Para mag-convene ang impeachment court, kailangan may sesyon ang Senado. Para manumpa ang impeachment judges, kailangan may sesyon ang Senado. So kung may mangyayari mang aksyon o kaganapan kaugnay nito, yan ay mangyayari sa June 2, pag-resume ng Senado, matapos ang eleksyon.
But according to former Bayan Muna Representative Nery Colmenares, who was a public prosecutor during the Corona impeachment trial in 2012, senators do not need to be in session for the trial to begin.
Iba yan sa Senate. The impeachment court is not a legislative body. Kung pansinin nyo, pag legislator ka, may oath ka as legislator, di ba? Pero ang mga senador, pag magkaroon na ng impeachment trial, meron silang hiwalay na oath as impeachment judges. Kaya hindi sila sa Senate. Hindi sila dependent ang buhay nila sa Senate. I-suspend muna ang Senate hearings, ang legislative proceedings nila. Lalo na ngayon, wala na silang itatakel na bill. Tapos na ang halos majority ng mga bills nila. Kung babalik sila sa June, ano na lang yun? Pro forma na lang halos yun. Kaya they have all the time now until June 30 na mag-impeachment trial. So, yung punto na lang dito is this. Pwedeng ituloy ng Senado ang impeachment trial ngayon kung gustuhin nila.
Escudero also says that Duterte's impeachment trial can cross over to the 20th Congress. There's a little bit of confusion over that, with others saying that if the 19th Congress Senate does not finish a trial, the next set of senators will have to start from scratch. Escudero also slammed those calling on the Senate to act on the complaint immediately, to which the Makabayan bloc hit right back.
Naman siguro makatarungan o tama na pagkatapos nilang upuan ito ng ilang buwan, biglang pwersahin, pipilitin at sasabihan kami ng sino mang galing sa Kamara na, hoy, bilisan nyo, aksyonan nyo, ano ba kayo? Hindi. Hindi ganon at hindi ako papayag din nun. Kung nagpa-banjing sila gawin ito, siguro wala naman silang basihan ngayon na madaliin kami, lalo na nasa huling araw na ng sesyon. Yan pinadala sa amin, halos mag-aalas 5 pa ng hapon.
Huwag namang sabihin na sisihin pa kami, no, na ngayon lang namin ipinasa. So kung kagaya ng kasabihan, kung gusto ay pwedeng gawin, di ba? Kung ayaw, maraming dahilan at maraming sinisisi. So, hinahamon ko ngayon si Senate President Escudero na, come on, i-ano mo na, no? I-convene mo na yung Senado as impeachment trial court.
Still, Escudero says the Senate may conduct a review of the articles of impeachment and familiarize themselves with the task of being senator judges in the trial during the break. As for the trial itself, the Senate President says VP Sara can represent herself since she is a lawyer, but she cannot be forced to testify.
That would be expected. Sinabi na niya yan, abogado siya, abogado rin. Si Vice President Sara Duterte, abogado rin yung kanyang asawa. Hindi ko na ikakagulat yan kung mangyayari man yan.
There's no impediment to that.
There is none.
So, sir, ko consider...
In fact, even the Vice President herself can represent herself in addition to other lawyers. Hindi siya pwedeng piliting tumestigo sa kaso because it will violate, on the other hand, the right against self-incrimination. Kumbaga, hindi siya pwedeng patawag ng prosecution at pwersahang paupuin doon para tanungin kung ayaw niya.
In short, there's lots of legal questions that remain over how this trial will be conducted. And so let's try to get some answers with our first guest tonight. We have former Supreme Court Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio. Good evening, sir. Welcome back to the big story, Justice Carpio.
Good evening. Good evening, Sean, Christina, and Gretchen.
Regina, sir. Anyways, the first question, there's a lot of issues that need to be tackled, but the first thing I wanted to ask you was your reaction to how it all went down. You know, as we pointed out earlier in the show, for many months, 3 complaints had languished in Congress. They debated it, but ultimately decided not to endorse it to the Speaker's office. And then finally, on the very last day of Congress, at the 11th hour, in fact, past 5 p.m., or rather in the afternoon, they finally got the signatures together and then transmitted to Senate an hour before Senate themselves adjourned for the break. How did you think? What was going through your mind when you were following this?
Well, I was saying already before that there was no more time. And because the House delayed in transmitting the articles of impeachment to the Senate, it even aggravated the matter. And that's exactly what happened now. The Senate did not even take it up in their last session before they adjourned. No? So that's the problem now, and they don't want to discuss this because they're on recess, and the senators who are re-electionists are more interested in their campaign now, and you cannot really call them to session now. The president, of course, can call a session, but the president can call a special session only to enact a law that is immediately necessary to be enacted. And this is not, this trial is not a law. No? So there's that problem. So I think what will happen now is the trial will be held in the next Congress when you have new senators, 12 senators, plus the holdover senators now. I think that will be the time when the trial will be conducted.
So, Justice Carpio, in short, you are saying that Senate President Cheese Escudero is correct in saying that an impeachment trial cannot be convened while Congress is on break. He was going by their own House rules.
Yes, because they have their calendar, and although the Constitution says that once the articles of impeachment is transmitted to the Senate shall forthwith conduct the trial. But of course, if you look at the past impeachments, in the case of former President Estrada and former Chief Justice Renato Corona, there was a time gap when it did not happen that once the articles of impeachment reached the Senate, that they conducted the trial immediately. There were several weeks or even a month before elapsed or passed before they conducted the trial. So you cannot say that they should immediately conduct the trial because you have to take into account also the calendar, which was agreed by both houses, by the way.
But Attorney Nery Colmenares in our earlier report said that their duties as legislators is different from their duties as impeachment judges. What do you say about that comment, meaning they can suspend all the hearings, their sessions, and fulfill their mandate when it comes to being a senator judge?
Can you repeat that? I lost you.
Attorney Colmenares said that their mandate as legislators is different from their mandate as an impeachment judge, meaning to say that they can suspend the legislative proceedings in favor of convening as an impeachment court.
They can if they want to, but you cannot compel them, especially so during the election period that started already. By February 11, they will be on the campaign trail. So if they want to, it's really up to them. You cannot force them.
Okay. Justice Carpio, I know there's been no precedent, so we're all kind of grasping at straws here and trying to figure out, what is within the bounds of the law, what is legal. And I was wondering, this crossover from the 19th Congress to the 20th Congress, you've said that that's allowed, but who would decide, the finer points of this? What will happen to the newer senators, the new batch, the old batch? How would this be decided? Would the ultimate arbiter of this also be the Supreme Court, if ever?
Well, after June 30, there will be a new Senate, 12 new senators and 12 old senators, and they are mandated to hold the trial because the Constitution says they shall conduct the trial, conduct the trial, and so they will conduct the trial. What happens there is, as explained by Senate President Scudero, they would have to amend, revise their rules of impeachment because every time there's a new Senate, whenever they have new 12 senators, they always readapt their rules of procedure, their rules of impeachment, all other rules are readapted. So they will readapt that, and he said that he would want to incorporate the new developments in the rules of court. That means they will use judicial affidavits. If they do that, they will cut down trial work by more than 50%. And I'm in favor of that because this will really expedite the proceedings. So they will first revise and adopt their new rules of impeachment. And then they have to give Vice President Sara Duterte 10 days to answer. 10 calendar days. And after that, then they can conduct the trial. So it will proceed because there's no bar, no legal impediment to the trial being conducted by the new Senate.
Sorry, but maybe the question there, the procedural question there is whether or not the 20th Congress will start from scratch or they can just take the baton from the 19th Congress. This is what Sean was asking, I guess, about the crossover, whether or not it can continue and can continue advancing as the chamber changes guard.
And to add to that, Justice...
They can continue because, first of all, they haven't started yet. I mean, they will start fresh because they have not even issued the order for Sara to comment. So and they have not even put it in their agenda. So it's the next Senate that will put it in the agenda for the first time.
Justice, can you confirm?
Not a single witness has testified. No answer yet from VP Sara. So, in other words, it will start from the. It will have a fresh start in the news in the new Senate. There's nothing to continue because they haven't started yet.
Hypothetically, though, Justice Carpio, if, for example, SP Cheese Escudero decided to start it now, what would happen? Because it would appear to me that it's his prerogative as Senate President to make this call, to just wait until the new Senate comes in so that, malinis siya and it's clean. But could he do otherwise and start like the preparations as early as now and then hold on to the trial or hold the trial until the new batch of 12 senators get sworn in?
Well, he was saying that his legal staff is going over the articles of impeachment to check the signatures, to check everything. So they're actually doing some work. But for Senate President Scudero to call the Senate into session, it's not in the calendar. So I don't know how we can call the Senate into session. There being it's not in their calendar. And usually the calendar is, all the time, is determined by both the House and the Senate.
Okay, but Justice Carpio, I know the Senate actually adjourned earlier than it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be February 8th, which is Friday, but they already adjourned yesterday. So, technically, meron pa pong mga araw na natitira dun sa calendar na yon. And I'd like to zoom in on the section in the Constitution that says once the articles of impeachment have been submitted, trial by Senate shall forthwith proceed. And if you check the definition of forthwith, it means immediately, at once, and without delay. So we have, I think, 3 more days or 2 days left till in the official calendar, till Senate adjourns. So could this be argued for being unconstitutional, that the Senate did not act immediately as it should have?
Well, you have to look at the precedent, as I said, in the impeachment trial of former President Estrada and Chief Justice Corona. When the articles of impeachment reached the Senate, they did not immediately take up. They did not immediately conduct the trial. I mean, you have to look at their calendar also. Forward doesn't mean at once, no? In other words, as soon as possible, given your calendar and other matters in your calendar. So you have only actually a few days. Even if you follow if they still have 2 days, the most that they can do is to, first you have to, they want to revise the rules of procedure for impeachment, and that will take time. Second, they will have to require VP Sara to comment, and they have to give VP Sara 10 calendar days. So they cannot start without the comment. So there's really no more time.
Justice, the other question there was what does the Constitution say should happen in case the Vice President resigns before a trial is even, before the court is even convened, or even before the trial concludes, before she is convicted or not convicted? What happens if she resigns her public office? We've heard one side of it. Somebody said that means, well, House Representative Joel Chua said he believes the law says that she is still immediately barred from pursuing public office. What do you think?
Well, if she resigns and before there's a judgment of conviction, then there's no prohibition for her to run again.
There's also another school of thought that if she does resign, itutuloy pa rin daw yung impeachment trial. Is that normal? And also, I think they were using, with regard to what Regina just said, they were using as precedent what happened to Merceditas Gutierrez at the start of the Pinoy administration. Yeah.
Actually, the Constitution says that the penalty shall not go beyond removal from office and perpetual disqualification to all public office. So if he has resigned, it's academic. You cannot remove her from office anymore. So I think they will just dismiss the impeachment complaint because she's no longer in office.
But what they want, Justice Carpio, is for her to be perpetually banned from running for other public posts in the future, or like forever, basically, unless she gets
yeah, they can file a criminal case because that's separate. And in the criminal case, if she is found guilty, there will be a prohibition office.
Okay. But minus a conviction in Senate, then the penalty of perpetual disqualification will not hold if she does resign.
No,
Okay.
Yeah, not in the impeachment case, but if there's a criminal case, there's a perpetual disqualification also if she's convicted.
Right.
So it's valid to resign in the middle of the whole trial. There's nothing in the Constitution that says otherwise.
Well, that could be. But if the Senate will continue, she will go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will have to decide, because that's a case of first impression, whether the Senate still has jurisdiction because she's not in office anymore. It could go either way.
The House has already chosen 11 prosecutors for this impeachment trial. Can you give us an idea of how that process goes? Because I think we just got a list of names, but we didn't have any idea on how this was actually done. Was there voting? Is it through voting? And how or what happens now if they don't get reelected in the midterm elections?
Well, if they don't get reelected, then they cannot be a prosecutor, public prosecutor, but they can also join the private prosecutors because the House can also, like in previous impeachments, also engage the services of private prosecutors.
Right. And actually, this is something we've been asking the lawmakers since yesterday. How did they get chosen to be on that 11-member House prosecution panel? And we've gotten different answers.
Yeah.
Congressman Joel Chua said he did not present himself. His name was just called in plenary. Other people said the members got elected, got voted. Other people said the leadership chose the names and then they agreed. Point being, it was all behind the scenes. Is that common? Is that usual? Justice?
Well, I think that's how it happened before. There was no voting as to who will be the prosecutors from the House. Maybe the leadership just chose and everybody agreed. I mean, there's no procedure. There's nothing there which says that the prosecutors must be voted upon. If the prosecutors are recommended by the Speaker and nobody objects, and that's it.
So in short, Justice, it's kumbaga, bahala na sila. No? It's an internal matter within the lower house. So how they come up with these 11 names is completely up to them.
Yes, of course, because they have to choose their own prosecutors, and if there's no objection from anyone, then the choice of the Speaker will prevail.
But for those who were not around to follow the Chief Justice Corona trial, give us a sense of how heavy the burden is on these prosecutors, Justice Carpio. I mean, there's 11 of them, and these are high crimes that we're talking about: treason, bribery, betrayal of public trust. How difficult will it be to prove their case?
Well, they will have to present. They have unearthed a lot of evidence already during the Quadcom hearings, during the committee hearings in the House, and I think they will also. I think they, of course, will subpoena the bank accounts. That's allowed in an impeachment case, and of course, there's the testimony of the two military aides of Sara who ended up in possession of the 125 million pesos because the House did not actually ask the two military aides what they did with the money. So that issue was given to the DND for further investigation. So then the testimony of those two military aides are crucial.
And now, because she is impeached, then the the bank secrecy law is lifted automatically. Is that right?
Yeah, because that's one of the exceptions under the bank secrecy law. The impeachment court can order the submission of the bank documents of the person being impeached.
Just to clarify, Justice, who can request for these bank documents? Would it be, the Senate side? Would it be the 11-panel prosecutor?
The prosecution will, of course, request for the bank documents.
And nobody can say no.
Well, that will be voted upon. If there's any objection, there will be a voting, and that's by majority vote. The members of the Senate will decide.
Are all proceedings required to be public to everybody, available to everyone, or are they allowed to have an executive session of some sort?
Unless they go into executive session, in all the previous impeachment cases, everything was televised.
But there is a prerogative to have an executive session.
Yes, they can if that's what the impeachment court decides.
Justice, I want to go to the possibilities here. We do know that Senator Chis Escudero already said that this will be tackled in the next Congress. But President Marcos said today that he could call for a special Senate session if the upper chamber of Congress requests it. Can you weigh in on that, just in case the Senate changes their mind? And would they need a quorum on that? Like, what if one senator says no? Do they all have to say yes to the idea of holding a session during the break?
Or like you said earlier, let me just add, Gretch, you said earlier at the beginning of this interview, Justice, that the President can only call such special sessions under two circumstances. One is if an emergency law has to be passed. What is the other condition? Would it be this, something like this?
No, only to enact a legislative measure, and this is not a legislative measure.
Okay.
Oo. All right. So, but they can still hold that. What if one senator says no, we don't want to convene during the break? Does that nullify everything?
No, if the president calls for a special session already, Senate President Escudero said we will attend because it's they have to attend a call for a special session. But the special session will be to enact a law, to deliberate and enact a law. And so when they arrive in the Senate, they will ask what is the law being proposed. There's none.
And then lastly, Justice, Senate President Cheese Escudero, is he also right in saying that they cannot compel Vice President Sara Duterte to testify during the impeachment trial?
Yes, that's a right not to testify again on something that might self-incriminate her.
But they can otherwise call anyone else within her family in her defense or to testify.
Well, there are certain, like the husband probably cannot be called because of a privileged communication, but all others can be called.